小朋友，你哋好啊！上一章呢，我哋講到傑克同埋安妮出發咗去阿拉斯加啦。我哋睇下佢哋嚟到第二章會發生啲咩事。
Chapter 2 Quarantine
第二章檢疫。
Cold face, Annie said, her teeth chattering.
好凍啊！安妮話佢嘅牙齒呢仲不停咁樣震緊啊。
Yeah, said Jack. His breath billowed white into the sharp air.
係啊，傑克話佢呼出嘅氣呢喺寒冷嘅空氣入邊形成咗一團團嘅白霧啊。
I feel like a fat brown bear, said Annie.
我覺得自己好似一隻胖嘟嘟嘅棕色熊啊，安妮講。
Jack laughed. He and Annie were covered with fur from head to toe.
傑克笑啦，佢同安妮呢全身都覆蓋住毛皮，從頭到腳都係。
Wore fur pants, fur mittens, knee-high fur boots, and long fur jackets with fur hoods.
佢哋呢穿着毛皮長褲、毛皮手套及塞嘅毛皮靴子，仲有帶有毛皮帽嘅長款毛皮傑克。
Welcome to Alaska, said Jack. He pulled up his hood and tied it tightly under his chin. 歡迎嚟到阿拉斯加，傑克講到。佢拉起佢嘅帽，將佢呢緊緊咁樣繫喺下巴嘅下方。Annie did the same. Then they looked out the window together. 安妮呢都做咗同樣嘅動作，然後佢哋一齊望向窗外面。The treehouse had landed in one of a few trees at the edge of a snowy field. 呢座樹屋呢落喺一片雪地上邊緣嘅幾棵樹木之中。Beyond the field was a coastal town. 喺嗰片雪地嘅另一側係座海濱城鎮。The winter sun was setting over an ice-covered sea. 冬日嘅夕陽呢正緩緩咁樣沉落喺一片嘅冰面上面。I wonder why we needed to save lives here. 我好好奇點解我哋呢要喺度拯救生命啊？傑克話。Said Jack. Do you think something scary is about to happen? Said Annie. 你覺得有冇啲咩好可怕嘅事情即將發生啊？安妮講到。Scary? Said Jack. 嚇人啊！傑克話。Like an earthquake or a volcano, said Annie. 就好似地震或者火山爆發一樣啦，安妮話。I don't know, Jack said. He picked up their guide to the Alaskan territory. He pulled off one of his fur mittens, opened the book, and read. 我唔知啊，傑克話。佢拎起佢哋用嚟指引住前往阿拉斯加嘅地區指南書。佢除咗一隻毛皮手套，翻開書頁讀到。About 12,000 years ago, people and their dogs crossed a land bridge over the Bering Sea from Russia into Alaska. 大約喺12000年前，人類同埋佢哋嘅狗跨越咗白令海峽上嘅陸地橋梁，喺俄羅斯進入咗阿拉斯加喎。When they reached Alaska, they became the first humans and dogs to live in North America. 當佢哋呢到達咗阿拉斯加之後呢，佢哋成為咗第一批喺北美洲生活嘅人類同埋狗啊。Cool, said Jack. I like the dog part. Until Russian explorers came. 哇，太棒啦！安妮講到，我好鍾意狗狗呢一部分啊。To Alaska, a few hundred years ago, only native Alaskan people lived there. 傑克繼續讀啦，直至到幾百年前，俄羅斯探險家呢嚟到阿拉斯加之前，嗰度一直只有當地嘅阿拉斯加原住居民喺嗰度住喎。For thousands of years, the natives survived by making use of the few resources of the rugged, ice-bound land. 幾千年嚟呢，一直係咁㗎。咁多年嚟啊，嗰度嘅居民依靠利用呢一片崎嶇冰雪覆蓋嘅土地上面所擁有嘅有限資源嚟到維持生計。Wow, they must be tough people, said Annie. 哇，咁佢哋一定係好堅強嘅人啊，安妮話。No kidding, said Jack. He read more. 咪就係咯，傑克講，跟住佢哋又繼續讀啦。 In the late 1800s, the United States purchased Alaska from Russia, and it became a territory of the U.S.
喺18世紀末期，美國喺俄羅斯手中購買咗阿拉斯加，並將佢納入咗美國嘅版圖。
That's why this guide is called the Territory of Alaska, said Jackie. It's from 1925 that's before Alaska became a state.
傑克話：咁就係點解呢份指南被稱為阿拉斯加領地指南，因為佢出版喺1925年。嗰陣時啊，阿拉斯加仲未成為美國嘅州啊。
Got it, said Annie. Okay, let's go find some lives to save.
明白啦，安妮講到。好啦，等我哋一齊去救啲生命啦。
Wait, said Jack. Where's our magic?
等等啊，傑克講到。我哋嘅魔法去邊啊？
Check your pockets, said Annie. Asterisk, Annie pulled off her mittens, and they both reached into the big side pockets of their parkas.
檢查下你嘅口袋啦，安妮講到。安妮呢除咗手套，然後兩個人呢同時將手伸進去各自嘅羽絨服嘅大口袋裏面。
Got it, said Jack, as he pulled out the tiny gold box.
明白啦，傑克講到。然後呢，佢拎出咗一個細細地嘅黃金盒。
Me too, said Annie. She held up the tiny stone box.
我都係啊，安妮講到。佢拎起嗰個小小嘅石盒子。
Gold dust, star dust, said Annie.
金粉塵、星粉塵，安妮講到。
One to save lives, one to make everyone forget that we saved lives.
一個呢用嚟拯救生命，另一個呢用嚟讓所有人忘記我哋曾經拯救生命。
Yap, said Jack. Let's not lose them. They tucked the boxes back into their pockets and put mittens on.
冇錯啊，傑克講到。我哋唔好將佢哋嘅口袋弄丟啊，都係將佢哋嘅手套俾佢哋戴上啦。佢哋將嗰啲盒子呢重新放回咗原處。
As Annie started down the treehouse ladder, Jack crammed the Alaska guide into another one of his pockets.
當安妮呢開始沿住樹屋嘅梯子往下走嘅時候，傑克將嗰本阿拉斯加旅行指南塞進咗另一個口袋裏面。
Then he clumsily followed Annie down the rope ladder in his bulky clothes.
然後佢穿住厚重嘅衣服，笨拙咁樣順住繩梯，跟住安妮往落走。
As they started across the snow-covered field, their boots squeaked in the snow.
當佢哋呢開始穿過嗰片覆蓋住積雪嘅田野嘅時候，佢哋嘅靴子喺雪地上面發出咔吱咔吱嘅聲響。
Jack's throat hurt from breathing the dry, cold air.
傑克因為吸入咗乾燥寒冷嘅空氣，感到呢喉嚨好疼痛喎。
In the fading winter light, they crossed a bridge and walked along a frozen creek until they came to a boardwalk that ran along the ice-bound seashore.
喺漸暗嘅冬日餘暉當中，佢哋跨過一座橋，沿住一條結冰嘅小溪前行，直至嚟到一條沿住結冰海岸線鋪設嘅木板路。
A sign said from street. The town was empty. There were no old cars or wagons, only piles of ice and snow.
一塊牌呢寫住前街，呢個小鎮呢空無一人，冇老舊嘅汽車或者馬車，只有呢堆積如山嘅冰同埋雪。
As Jackie and Annie tramped through the snow, they passed stores and saloons and restaurants with crooked signs and broken windows.
當傑克同埋安妮喺雪地裏面艱難咁樣前行嘅時候，佢哋路過咗一家家有住歪斜招牌同埋破碎窗戶嘅商店、酒吧同埋餐館。
They all looked abandoned.
佢哋睇起嚟都已經荒廢啦。
There were only a few shops that looked as if they were closed, but still might be in business. Gnome Pharmacy, Gnome Laundry, and Gnome Bakery.
啲地方睇起嚟荒廢，得幾家店鋪睇起嚟仲可能營業緊，不過暫時關咗門。包括樂姆藥店啦、樂姆洗衣店同埋樂姆麵包店。
I guess we've in Nome, said Annie. Good guess, said Jackie. He took off one of his mittens, pulled out their Alaska guide, and found Nome. He read,
我諗我哋到咗樂姆啦，安妮講。估得冇錯啊，傑克講到。佢除咗一隻手套，拎出佢哋隨身攜帶嘅阿拉斯加地圖冊，揾到咗樂姆啊！佢讀到
Around 1900, gold was discovered in Nome, a remote Alaskan town on the Bering Sea.
哇！喺大約1900年嘅時候，金礦喺樂姆被發現啊！嗰度呢係位於白令海嘅一座偏遠嘅阿拉斯加小鎮，即係好多黃金啊！
More than 3,000 gold seekers rushed to the boomtown, but within 10 years, Nome's gold rush was over, and the town fell on hard times.
哇！嗰陣時啊，超過3萬名淘金者啊，即係呢都係嚟揾金嘅人呢，嚟咗呢個新興嘅城市，但係僅10年呢，樂姆嘅淘金熱啊，即係嗰個熱潮就結束啦。呢個小鎮陷入咗困境。
Hard times? No kidding, said Annie. Nome looks more like a ghost town than a boom town.
艱難時期，唔好開玩笑啦。安妮講到，樂姆睇起嚟似一個廢棄嘅小鎮，而唔係呢繁榮嘅小鎮。
Let's keep going, said Jack. He pulled his mitten back on and put their guide in his pocket.
我哋繼續向前行啦。傑克講到，佢重新戴上手套，將指南針放入咗口袋裡面。
As he and Annie keep walking down the snow-covered boardwalk, they pass the Dream Movie Theatre and the Golden Gate Hotel. Both had signs that said, 當佢同埋安妮沿住積雪覆蓋嘅木板路繼續前行嘅時候，佢哋經過咗夢幻電影院同埋金門酒店。呢兩家店嘅招牌上面都寫住 Temporarily closed. 暫時關閉。Finally, they came to a white two-story wooden building that looked like someone's house. They could see lights and people inside. The black sign above the front door said, 最後，佢哋嚟到一座白色嘅2層木製建築前。呢一度睇起嚟就好似某個人嘅房子。佢哋能夠睇到屋裏面有燈光同埋人影。前方嘅黑色招牌寫住 Maynard Columbus Hospital. 梅納德哥倫布醫院。At least there are a few people in town, said Annie. 至少鎮上仲有幾個人啦，安妮講到。But why is the hospital the only place that seems open? 咁但係點解得醫院係開住呢？傑克講到。Said Jack. Yeah, weird, said Annie. They walked down the boardwalk until they came to a schoolhouse with a sign that said, 係咯，都幾奇怪喎，安妮講到。佢哋沿住木板路前行，一直走到一座學校建築前。嗰棟建築嘅門上掛住一塊木牌，上面寫到 Asterisk, no school, quarantine. 停課，實施隔離。Asterisk. Uh-oh, said Jack. Quarantine? said Annie. 哎呀，傑克講到。隔離？安妮問到。It means you're supposed to stay home so you won't spread a bad disease that's going around, said Jack. 返屋企啦，咁樣呢就唔會將呢一種傳染病傳播出去。傑克講到，咁意味住你應該留喺屋企，唔好外出啊。Maybe that's why everything is closed, said Annie. I wonder what the disease is. 或者呢個就係一切都被封閉嘅原因啦。安妮講到。我好好奇呢一種係咩病啊？ I don't know, said Jack. But if we go back to the hospital, we can ask someone there. 我唔知道啊，傑克講到。但係如果我哋返返去醫院呢，就可以問嗰度啲人啦。Asterisk. In the twilight, Jack and Annie hurried up the boardwalk to the entrance of the small hospital.
喺暮色當中，傑克同埋安妮呢，匆匆沿住木板路走向嗰間小醫院嘅入口。
When they stepped through the front door,
當佢哋走進前門嘅時候，
they found a cold waiting room filled with people bundled in fur parkas and boots.
佢哋發現一個冰冷嘅等候室裏面擠滿咗裹住皮大衣、穿住靴子嘅人。
Some seemed quite ill, slumped down in their chairs with their eyes closed.
有啲人睇起嚟呢，病得好重啊，癱坐喺椅子上面。
Others looked disappointed when they saw Jack and Annie as if they were waiting for someone else.
仲有一啲人呢，見到傑克同埋安妮之後，見得好失望啊，彷彿呢，佢哋係等緊另外嘅人。
Only one person stepped forward to greet them. A boy about 14 or 15 years old stared at them with dark, questioning eyes. "Who are you?" he asked.
只有呢一個人走上前去迎接佢哋。一個大約14、15歲嘅男孩子用深邃而疑惑嘅眼神盯住佢哋，問道：你哋係邊個啊？
Our names are Jack and Annie, said Annie.
我哋個名係傑克同安妮啊。安妮話。
Are you sick with diphtheria? The boy said.
你係唔係得咗白喉病啊？嗰個男仔問。
Annie shook her head. No, we just arrived from the United States.
唔係啊，我哋只係啱啱從美國嚟嘅。
Excuse me a second.
請稍等一下。
She turned away from the boy and whispered to Jack, "What's diphtheria?"
佢呢轉身背對住嗰個男孩，小聲對傑克講：乜嘢係白喉病啊？
Exactly. It's a dangerous disease from the past. That must be what quarantine is for, Jackie whispered. We can't catch it. We had vaccines. 呢個係一種呢嚟自過去嘅危險疾病，想必呢個就係隔離措施嘅目的啦。傑克小聲講道：我哋係唔會染上呢種病㗎，我哋有疫苗啊。Annie turned back to the boy. Do you have diphtheria? She asked gently.
安妮呢轉身對住個男孩問：你係唔係得咗白喉病啊？佢語氣好溫和。
No, my sister and my mother do, he said. They are very sick in beds upstairs.
冇啊，我姐姐同我媽咪呢，喺樓上嘅病床上面病得好嚴重啊！佢哋就係得咗呢個病啦。
They are very sick in beds upstairs. I'm waiting for the special medicine to arrive. Doctor, Welch says it will save their lives.
我哋正喺度等緊嗰種特殊嘅藥物送嚟。韋爾奇醫生話呢種藥呢可以挽救佢哋嘅生命。
Before the boy could say more, Jackie heard a man shouting in a room down the hall. Hello! Hello! Suzanne, you hear Mer?
喺嗰個男孩仲未嚟得切講啲乜嘢嘅之前，傑克聽到走廊盡頭一間屋子裏面有人大聲喊叫：你好啊！你好啊！你聽唔聽到我講嘢啊？
The boy left the waiting room and hurried to an open doorway.
男孩呢離開咗等候室，匆匆走向一個敞開嘅門度。
Jack and Annie followed, and 3 of them peeked into a doctor's office.
傑克同埋安妮呢都跟咗上去，佢哋3人呢探頭進了醫生嘅診室。
2 people were anxiously watching a man talk on an old-fashioned black telephone.
有2個人呢正喺度焦急咁樣注視一名男子用一台好老式嘅黑色電話通話喎。
Yes, this is Mayor Maynard in Nome. Has the musher arrived with the medicine package yet?
係啊，我係洛梅市嘅市長梅納德。男子呢對住聽筒大叫道：馴犬員帶住藥品包裹已經到齊未啊？
As Mayor Maynard listened to the person on the other end of the line, Annie whispered to Jack, "A musher is a person who drives a sled pulled by a team of dogs."
當梅納德呢 視長聽住電話嗰頭嘅人講嘢嘅時候，安妮呢小聲對傑克講：阿 Mercia 馴犬員，即係嗰種呢駕駛住由一群雪狗拉住雪橇嘅人啊。
I know, said Jack.
我知道啊，傑克講到。
That's a cool job, Annie whispered.
嗰個係一個都幾唔錯嘅任務喎，安妮講到。
No, listen to me, Mayor Maynard yelled into the phone.
唔好啊！你聽我講先。梅納德市長對住個電話喊道。
Gunnar Carson arrives at the roadhouse in Solomon. Keep him there.
如果古納爾卡森抵達索里蒙嘅旅店，就俾佢待喺嗰度啦。
Do not let him and his team move on.
唔好
Like an earthquake or a volcano.
唔好俾佢呢同埋佢嘅團隊離開啊！
We can't risk losing the medicine. We're expecting a huge blizzard tonight, sweeping down from the Arctic.
我哋唔可以冒險失去嗰啲藥㗎。今晚我哋預計呢會有大暴風雪從北極席捲而落啊！
A huge blizzard sweeping down from the Arctic? That's not good news, thought Jack.
一場喺北極席捲而嚟嘅巨大暴風雪，咁唔係一個好消息喎。傑克心諗。
We cannot lose that medicine, said the mayor. 5 have died already. There are at least 20 more cases, possibly 50.
我哋唔可以再失去呢一批藥品㗎啦，市長講到。已經有5個人因此喪命啦，仲有至少20幾個病例，可能多達50啊。
The Board of Health believes it is better to delay it than to risk losing it altogether.
衛生委員會認為，不如先推遲使用，以免完全失去呢批藥品啦。
Tell Casson to wait until further word.
你讓阿卡森等消息，再有定論啦，唔好咁快決定啊。
No, you can't delay it, the boys said, barging into the office. Gunnar Casson must keep going. The medicine has get here soon.
唔可以啊！你唔可以再拖延㗎啦！男孩衝進去辦公室講道：卡納爾卡森必須繼續趕路啊！藥品必須盡快送達啊！
I don't have a choice, Oki, said the mayor, hanging up the phone. It's what the Board of Health has ordered. The boy.
我冇選擇，奧基。市長掛斷電話之後講道：呢一個呢係衛生委員會所下達嘅命令啊！
Turned to a large, rosy-cheeked woman.
男孩呢轉向一位面色紅潤嘅女士。
Nurse Morgan, please don't let them delay, he said. He sounded near tears.
莫根護士啊，唔好俾佢哋耽誤啊！佢講到，佢聽起嚟呢快要哭出來啦。
It's going to be all right, Oki, Nurse Morgan said, patting him on his shoulder. Please go back to the waiting room.
一切都會好起嚟㗎，奧基。莫根護士講到，輕輕拍住佢嘅肩膀。請你返到去候診室啦。
Don't worry, said a grey-haired man in a white coat.
唔好擔心，一個呢穿住白大褂、頭髮花白嘅男子講道。
I promised you, everyone is working night and day to fight this epidemic.
我向你保證啊，而家所有人都喺度夜以繼日咁樣努力去抗擊疫情。
Dr. Welch, my sister and mother need the medicine now, or they will die.
韋爾奇醫生啊，我嘅 sister 同埋母親而家急需要呢啲藥啊，如果唔係佢哋會死㗎。
said Oki. Even in a blizzard, I know Gunnar Casson can keep running. You must leave us to do our work.
就算喺暴風雪當中，我都知道呢，古納爾卡森可以一直奔跑落去㗎。你一定要俾我哋繼續工作啊！韋爾奇醫生講到。
said Dr. Welch. He gently took the boy by the arm and led him back into the hall, where Jackie and Annie were waiting.
韋爾奇醫生呢輕輕拍住男孩嘅膊頭，將佢呢帶返去大廳。傑克同埋安妮呢正喺嗰度等住。
Everything will be fine. Try to get some rest, son. We don't want you to get sick too.
一切都會好起嚟嘅，孩子，你要盡量休息一下。我哋呢好唔想你都病啊。
Then Dr. Watch stepped into the room with Mayor Maynard and Nurse Morgan and closed the door. We can't risk losing.
隨後呢，韋爾基醫生同埋梅納德市長以及呢莫金護士一同走進房間裏面並關上咗門啦。好，第二章完。呢一集呢講到原來呢一個好凍好凍嘅地方有好嚴重嘅疫情啊！佢哋而家等緊一啲藥，係由一班嘅雪橇去運送嘅一批藥，究竟佢哋能唔能夠拯救到，準時送到呢一批藥到達呢一個地方呢？敬請呢期待下一嘅章節。